Ferrari just did something in preseason that should scare the entire grid. Testing is over, the data is complete, and Lewis Hamilton may have quietly revealed the biggest shock of 2026. While everyone watched Red Bull's race pace, Ferrari unleashed a one-lap performance that made the paddock stop talking. No major reliability failures. Over 14 race distances completed. A power unit that does not fade at the end of the straight. And a manual override mode capable of dumping full electrical deployment in a single lap without overheating. But here is the twist. Hamilton was not chasing headlines. He was solving the car, adapting to a completely new brake system, rewriting his technique. And in the final days of testing, something changed. The lap times dropped, the rotation improved, the confidence returned. And now the question is simple. Did Ferrari just build the fastest qualifying car on the grid? Or did Hamilton unlock something even bigger? Because if what we saw in Bahrain was only a glimpse, Australia might not just be competitive. It might be explosive. Stay with me, because the numbers behind Hamilton's hidden pace reveal an insane truth nobody is fully talking about yet. Now, let us break down what actually happened in Bahrain. Because the headline lap time was only part of the story. Ferrari did not begin testing by chasing glory. In Barcelona, they were almost invisible, running conservative engine maps, avoiding fast laps, focusing purely on aerodynamic correlation and data validation. Reports suggest they were hiding more than a second of real performance. That was not weakness. That was control. Then Bahrain arrived. Hotter conditions, higher grip, closer to race specifications. And suddenly, the SF-26 revealed its true personality. Charles Leclerc delivered a lap that shocked the paddock. A 1 minute 34.273. But what made it frightening was not just the number. It was how the car looked. Stable through high-speed corners. Confident on entry. Planted in Sector 2, where others struggled. And while Leclerc grabbed attention, Hamilton was working in the shadows. The brake-by-wire system had initially unsettled him. The regeneration through the front axle changes pedal feel mid-corner. For a driver who relies heavily on rhythm and braking precision, that is not a small adjustment. But instead of complaining publicly, he stayed late with engineers. Reworked torque mapping, adjusted differential behavior, refined how the car rotates on entry. And in the final 48 hours, the data began to show something subtle but significant. His minimum corner speeds improved. Throttle application became smoother. Rear stability increased. He was not just adapting. He was shaping the car around his driving DNA. And here is where it gets serious. Ferrari's 067/6 power unit showed almost no clipping at the end of Bahrain's long straights. While rivals appeared to lose electrical deployment before braking zones, the Ferrari kept accelerating. That means their energy management strategy is extremely efficient. There's also the manual override mode, a deployment setting capable of releasing the full 350 kilowatts of electrical power in a single qualifying lap without overheating the battery. That is a weapon, but a weapon designed for Saturday. And this is where the hidden truth starts to surface. In short stints, the SF-26 is devastating. Tires come alive quickly. The car rotates aggressively. Electrical deployment is immediate, but in long runs, especially in high heat, cracks appear. Hamilton admitted that when track temperatures exceed 30 degrees, the battery reaches its thermal limit before full deployment is complete. That results in clipping, not because of inefficiency, because of overheating. He described it as the car running out of breath at the end of the straight. And then there is rear tire degradation. The electric torque is aggressive. On hot asphalt, the rear grip drops suddenly after several laps. Not gradually, suddenly. Hamilton even admitted he sometimes had to drive at 80% on corner exits during long runs to protect the rear tires. That is the trade-off. Explosive speed, narrow operating window, and yet reliability has been flawless. More than 4,300 kilometers completed across testing without a major mechanical failure. That level of durability allows Ferrari to push harder from race one. No fear of blowing an engine. No hesitation in deploying aggressive maps. So here is the insane truth after preseason. Hamilton's pace was not accidental. It was methodical, calculated, gradually unlocked. The car is built around qualifying dominance, with race pace still being refined. And if Ferrari can slightly widen that operating window before Australia, the balance of power could shift immediately. Because when Lewis Hamilton has confidence in the front end, trust in the brakes, and a car that responds to his inputs without hesitation, history shows something very clear. He becomes relentless. And that is why preseason testing may have just revealed more than a fast Ferrari. It may have revealed the return of a fully armed Hamilton. And the grid should be paying very close attention. But here is where the story becomes even more fascinating. Because hidden pace is not just about lap time. It is about intent. And Ferrari's intent during testing was crystal clear. They were not chasing headlines. They were building a foundation. More than 4,300 kilometers completed without a major failure. That is not luck. That is preparation. That level of reliability changes everything going into Australia. It means Ferrari can afford to turn the engine up. They can afford to be aggressive with deployment strategies. They can risk running closer to thermal limits because they trust the core architecture. Now compare that to what Hamilton experienced in previous seasons. Unpredictable balance, porpoising, overheating, constant compromise. This time, his language was different. He said the car has his DNA. That is not just marketing. That suggests influence. He spent the winter in Maranello shaping seating position, ergonomics, pedal placement. Small details. But in Formula One, small details unlock tenths. And tenths decide championships. There is also something psychological happening here. Hamilton is no longer adapting to a team. The team is adapting to him. In testing, he was vocal, demanding changes. Engineers responded quickly. There were even whispers that Leclerc experimented with Hamilton's rear suspension setup on the final day. That tells you something. It tells you Lewis may have found mechanical balance others had not fully understood yet. And then there is the aerodynamic innovation, the aggressive active rear wing concept, the so-called flip-flop system. On straights, the main plane rotates dramatically, reducing drag to extreme levels. Top speeds reach 345 kilometers per hour. The FIA inspected it multiple times, declared it legal. That is not just speed, that is confidence in engineering. But remember the weakness, thermal sensitivity. In high heat, the battery approaches its limit early. Rear tires can drop off suddenly after several laps. The operating window narrows. And that means strategy becomes critical. If Ferrari qualifies on pole, clean air protects the tires. It protects battery cooling. It protects stability. If they start in traffic, everything becomes harder. So now the question shifts. Is Hamilton's hidden pace a Saturday weapon? Or can it evolve into a Sunday advantage? Because if Ferrari widens that window even slightly, if they smooth the torque curve on corner exit, if they improve battery cooling by just a few degrees, the balance of power shifts dramatically. Red Bull may still hold the edge in long-run consistency, but Ferrari holds something just as dangerous, explosive potential. And when Lewis Hamilton senses a car capable of winning poles consistently, something changes in him. Confidence returns, aggression sharpens, risk calculation improves. He becomes precise, clinical, relentless. Preseason is over. No more data hiding, no more conservative maps. Australia will reveal whether the SF-26 is a qualifying rocket, or the beginning of a title contender built around Hamilton's final great push. And here is the insane truth no one is saying loudly enough. If Ferrari solves just one of its two weaknesses, heat sensitivity or rear degradation, then the hidden pace we saw in testing will not remain hidden. It will become the reference point. And when that happens, the entire championship narrative changes overnight. And now we arrive at the moment that truly defines everything. Australia, because testing is controlled. Australia is not. Testing allows fuel adjustments, temperature management, conservative deployment. Australia forces commitment, full fuel loads, dirty air, high pressure starts, real overtakes. And this is where Hamilton's hidden pace faces its ultimate test. If Ferrari locks out the front row, the entire dynamic changes. Clean air means cooler tires. Cooler tires means stable rear grip. Stable rear grip means controlled torque delivery. And controlled torque delivery protects the battery window. In that scenario, the weaknesses shrink. The strengths explode. But if Ferrari starts behind, if Hamilton is forced into traffic, if he has to follow through hot air in Sector 1, then rear temperatures rise faster. Battery cells approach their limit earlier. Clipping arrives sooner, and the advantage disappears. This is why preseason was so revealing, because the pace is real, but it is conditional. It depends on track temperature. It depends on airflow. It depends on starting position. That is not fragility. That is precision. And precision can be refined. Remember something crucial. Ferrari did not bring their full aerodynamic package to Bahrain. There are upgrades prepared for Melbourne. A revised floor, a modified diffuser, small geometry changes designed to reduce mid-speed understeer. If those updates widen the operating window even slightly, Hamilton gains freedom. Freedom to push harder in race trim. Freedom to attack without overheating the rear tires. Freedom to deploy electrical energy without fearing thermal clipping. And freedom is everything in this sport. Because when Lewis Hamilton feels free in a car, he does not hesitate. He does not manage at 80%. He commits. And that commitment changes races. Now, think about the psychological element. For the first time in years, Hamilton sounds energized. Not defensive. Not frustrated. Focused. He speaks about attacking again. About feeling the base of the car beneath him. That matters more than lap time. Because motivation sharpens instinct. And instinct wins championships. Red Bull may still have the edge in long-run consistency. They manage tire degradation linearly. Predictably, Ferrari's drop-off is sharper, more dramatic. But sharp problems can be softened. Linear advantages are harder to expand. So the championship battle might not depend on outright speed. It might depend on adaptation speed. Who evolves faster between race 1 and race 4? Who widens their performance window? Who protects their thermal margins under pressure? And here is the final layer. Hidden pace is powerful, but revealed pace is political. If Hamilton qualifies on pole in Australia, if Ferrari shows that one-lap nuclear performance again, the narrative shifts immediately, from curiosity to threat. And when the narrative shifts, pressure moves. Pressure moves to Red Bull. Pressure moves to strategy calls. Pressure moves to development cycles. Because nothing accelerates innovation like fear. The insane truth after preseason is this. Ferrari may not yet have the most complete race car, but they might have the fastest evolving one, and is being driven by a 7-time world champion who feels alive again. So now everything narrows to one question. When the lights go out in Melbourne, will Hamilton's hidden pace stay hidden? Or will it become the opening statement of a championship resurgence no one was ready for? Because if it becomes visible under race conditions, the entire 2026 season changes direction from that very first corner.